Chapter 10 of Gold by Stuart Edward White. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Part 2 of the Golden City. Chapter 10 of the Golden City. We stood in between the hills and part of the Bay of San Francisco at about 10 o'clock on an early spring day. A fresh cold wind pursued us. The sky above us was bluer than I had ever seen it before, even on the isthmus. To our right, some great rocks were covered with seals and sea lions. In back of them were hills of yellow sand. The beautiful great mountain rose green to our left, and the water beneath us swirled and eddied in numerous whirlpools made by the tide. Everybody was on deck close to the rail. We strained our eyes ahead and saw two islands, and beyond, a shore of green hills. None of us knew where San Francisco was located, nor could we find out. The ship's company were much too busy to pay attention to our questions. The great opening out of the bay beyond the long narrows was therefore a surprise to us, and it seemed as vast as an inland sea. We hauled to the wind, turning sharp to the south, glided past the bold point of rocks. Then we saw the city concealed in a bend of the road. It was mainly of canvas, hundreds, perhaps thousands of tents and canvas houses scattered about the sides of the hills. The flat was covered with them too, and they extended for some distance along the shore of the road. Great dust borne by the wind that had brought us in swept across the city like a cloud of smoke. Hundreds and hundreds of vessels lay at anchor in the harbor, a vast fleet. We were immediately surrounded by small boats, and our decks filled with men. We had our first sight of the genuine miners. They proved to be as various as the points of the compass. Big men, little men, clean men, dirty men, shaggy men, shaven men, but all instinct with an eager life and energy I have never seen equal. Most wore the regulation dress, red shirt, pantaloons tucked into the tops of boots, broad belts with sometimes silver buckles, silk Chinese sashes of vivid raw colors, a revolver, a bowie knife, a floppy old hat. Occasionally, one, more dignified than the rest, sported a shiny top, but always with a red shirt. These were merchants, men permanently established in the town. They addressed us eagerly, asking 1,000 questions concerning the business in the outside world. We could hardly answer copper, iron, zinc, brass, tin, wood. We recognized the genius of the metals. They were on the labor-saving at this site, vanished the last remnants of the empty similar we looked about for some things to which we felt our belongings. Apparently not existent. Therefore we piled most of our effects neatly above the Spaces between these larger edifices was occupied by a dozen or so smaller shacks. Next door to the Parker house stood a huge flapping tent. The words El Dorado were painted on its side. The square itself was crowded with people moving to and fro. The solid majority of the crowd consisted of red or blue-shirted miners, but a great many nations and frames of mind seemed to be represented. Chinese merchants with red coral buttons atop their stiff little skull caps wandered slowly, their hands tucked into the capacious sleeves of the richest brocade. We had seen a few of this race, and we looked at them with the greatest interest, examining closely their broad, bland faces, the delicate lilacs and purples and blues of their rich costumes, the swaying silk braided queues down their back. Other Chinese of the lower castes, clad in blue canvas with broad bowl-shaped hats of straw on their heads, wormed their way through the crowd, balancing baskets at the ends of poles. Rivaling the great Chinese merchants in their leisure, strolled the representatives of the native race, the Spanish Californians. They were darkly handsome men, dressed gloriously in short velvet jackets, snowy ruffles, plush trousers flaring at the bottom and slid up the side of the leg, soft leather boots and huge spurs ornamented with silver. They sauntered to and fro, smoking brown paper cigarettes. Besides these two, the Chinese and the Californians, one other class seemed to be moving with any deliberation. These were men seeing generally alone with their posts and affairs. They were quiet, waxy pale, dressed always neatly in soft black hat, white shirt, long black coat, and varnished boots. In the face of a general gabble, they seemed to remain indifferently silent, self-contained and aloof. To occasional salutations, they responded briefly and with gravity. "Professional gamblers," said Calvin. All the rest of the crowd rushed here and there at great speed. We saw the wild incongruities of demeanor and costume, beside which the silk hat and dress-shirted combination was nothing. They struck us open-mouthed and gasping, but seemed to attract not the slightest attention from anybody else. We encountered a number of men dressed alike in suits of the finest broadcloth, the coats of which were lined with red silk and the vests embroidered. These men walked with a sort of arrogant importance. We later found out that they were members of the dreaded organization He produced a handful of cigars, of which he lit one. "We just arrived," said Talbot, somewhat amused at this change. "How about that second story?" "I want to tell you boys a few things," said the proprietor. "I get $60,000 a year rent for that second story just as he stands. The tent next door belongs to my brother-in-law. It's just 15 by 25 feet, and he rents it for $40,000. "Gamblers?" inquired Talbot. "You guessed it. So you see, I ain't got any beds to speak of down there. In fact, here's the whole layout." "But we can't stand $6 a night for these things," expostulated Johnny. "Let's try over at the other place." "Try ahead, boys," said the proprietor quite good-naturedly. "You'll find her the same over there and everywhere else." He arose. "Best leave your plunder here until you find out. Come down and have a drink." We found the City Hotel offered exactly the same conditions as did the Parker House, except that the proprietor was curt and had no time for us at all. From that point, still dissatisfied, we extended our investigations beyond the plaza. We found ourselves ankle-deep in sandhills on which grew coarse grass and a sort of sage. Crazy ramshackle huts, made of all sorts of material, were perched in all sorts of places. Hundreds of tents had been pitched, beneath which, and in front of which, an extremely simple housekeeping was going on. Hunt as we might, we could find no place that looked as though it would take lodgers. Most of even the better-looking houses were simply tiny skeletons covered with paper, cloth, or paint. By painstaking persistence, we kept at it until we had inquired of every building of any pretensions. Then, somewhat discouraged, we picked our way back to the shore after our heavier goods. The proprietor of the Parker House greeted us with unabated good nature. "I know how you boys feel," said he. "There's lots in your fix. You'd better stick here tonight and then get organized to camp out if you're going to be here long. I suppose, though, you're going to the mines? Well, it'll take you several days to make your plans and get ready. When you get back from the mines, you won't have to think about these things." "There's plenty of gold," ventured Johnny. "Bushels. I should think you'd be up there." "I don't want any better gold mine than the old Parker House," said he comfortably. We paid him $24. By now, it was late in the afternoon. The wind had dropped, but over the hills to seaward rolled a soft, beautiful bank of fog. The sun was blotted out behind it, and a chill fell. The crowds about the plaza thinned. We economized our best at supper, but had to pay some $8 for the four of us. The bill was a la carte, and contained such items as grizzly steak, antelope, elk, and wild duck and goose. Grizzly steak, I remember, cost $1.25. By the time we had finished, it had grown dark. The lamps were alight, and the crowds were beginning to gather. All the buildings and the big tent next door were a blaze of illumination. The sound of music and singing came from every side. A holiday spirit was in the air. Johnny and I were crazy to be up and doing, but Talbot sternly repressed us, and Yank agreed with his decision by an unusually emphatic nod. "It is all a lot of fun, I'll admit," said he, "but this is business, and we've got to face it. Sit down here on the edge of this veranda, and let's talk things over. How much money have you got, Yank?" $220, replied Yank promptly. "You're partners with me, Frank, so I know our assets," said Talbot with tact. "Johnny?" "Hanged if I know," replied the youth. "I got quite a lot. I keep it in my pack." "Well, go and find out," advised Talbot. Johnny was gone for some time. We smoked and listened to the rather blatantly mingled strains of music and watched the figures of men hurrying by in the spangled darkness. Johnny returned, very much excited. "I've been robbed," he cried. "Robbed? Is all your money gone?" "No, there's a little left, but—" Talbot laughed quietly. "Sit down, Johnny, and cool off," he advised. "If anybody had robbed you, they'd have taken the whole kit and caboodle. Did you come out ahead on those Monte games? Johnny blushed and laughed a little. I see what you're at, but you're a way off there. I just played for small stakes and lost a lot of them. I sort of looked out your game, but that's all right. How much did the robbers leave you? $12 besides what I have in my clothes. $21 in all, said Johnny. Well, that's pretty good. You beat Frank and me to death. There's our total assets, said Talbot, and laid a $10 gold piece and a dime on his knee. We'll call that dime a curiosity, said he, for I notice a quarter is the smallest coin they use out here. Now you see that we've got to talk business. Frank and I haven't got enough to live on for one more day. There's enough among us, began Yank. You mean you already have your share of the partnership finances, corrected Talbot quickly. If we're going to be partners, and that's desired and understood, I suppose. We all nodded emphatic agreement. We must all put in the same amount. I move that said amount be $220 apiece. Yank, you can loaf tomorrow. You've got your share all made up. You can put in the day finding out all about getting to the mines and how much it costs and what we will need. All right, I'll do it, said Yank. As for the rest of us, cried Talbot, we've got to rustle up $220 each before tomorrow evening. How? I asked blankly. How should I know? Out there, he waved his hand abroad at the flickering lights. There is the Golden City, challenging every man as he enters her gates. She offers opportunity and fortune. All a man has to do is go and take them, accept the challenge. The only way I could take them would be to lift them off some other fellow at the point of a gun, said Johnny gloomily. End of chapter 10.